Crypto is now ripping towards the upside, and this others dominance chart is now flashing a signal that indicates a massive move is on the horizon for altcoins. Therefore, in this video, I'm going to talk about my strategy to trade these markets to be able to maximize my gains over the weeks ahead. I'm also going to update you on the recent Apotos, Sooie, and Ethereum trades that I've been taking, and we're going to talk about other trades I'm looking to get into and my strategy for being able to get the best entries. If that sounds good, hit the like button. Let's get into it. Now guys, welcome to the School of Crypto. Unlike my main channel, the House of Crypto, on this channel we're focusing more towards day trading these markets. We're focusing more towards tutorial based content to be able to go out there and find some of the best opportunities across crypto to be able to maximize our gains over the bull market ahead. So if you want to up your game in these markets and see some of the best returns possible, then make sure you subscribe, notification bell turned on. Now guys, looking across to cryptobubbles.net, we can see that the markets are looking pretty positive once more. But this is just the start of it, and I'm going to show you proof of that on the others dominance chart in just a moment. But first of all, let's look at Bitcoin and let's understand why we've suddenly seen markets pumping up yet again, when maybe we expected that there could potentially be a bit of a pullback in this area. Now, in yesterday's video, I told you that we could see a pullback because we're running into an incredibly strong resistance zone for Bitcoin. Previously, this acted as support for several months around the end of last year and into the start of this year, and our previous support has become resistance. Right now, though, you can see that Bitcoin is running into this zone, and while yesterday it did look a little weak here, and yet again it's been bought up, showing that the market is much stronger than maybe people are anticipating right now, and there is a chance that we don't get a pullback here, and that we just blast straight through. If this is to unfold, then Bitcoin will send it up to the next resistance zone. Where is that? I hear you cry. Well, in terms of looking at resistance, the best place to look is to your left-hand side. You see, this is resistance because it's where the price turns around. Okay, simply put, resistance is where price can't break through anymore. As you come down below, you can see several areas of interest where we have previous resistance zones. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that we can't break through, but typically we'll tend to stall in and around areas where we couldn't break through before or previously held as support. Okay, if this is resistance, this is support. Now, this is incredibly important because breaking through this area, we could see a push towards this zone and then potentially a retrace down towards this area here before seeing any continuation. And that's going to come into our decision making on whether or not it's a good time to enter into any leveraged trades right now. But first of all, I want to talk about the others dominance chart. Now, this is over on tradingview.com. I appreciate many of you have used this before, but some of you haven't. Remember, this channel is more geared towards tutorial based, helping people who are a bit newer in the game. And this is a really important chart because while we've seen Bitcoin pumping at Sooie and XRP and some of the other larger caps, what I know you're holding, because you're a bit like me and you kind of aped into a lot of smaller caps, is you're looking for a lot of the smaller caps you're holding to go and do those 100, 200% moves in single days. And it will happen. And this is probably the indicator that that is on the horizon happening very, very soon. This is the others dominance chart. What this represents is the percentage of the total market cap of all of crypto that is outside of the top 10. So if you remove the Bitcoins, the Ethereums, the XRPs, Cardanos, etc. from the mix, whatever is left is in the others dominance chart. This is a very important chart because it shows the confidence in crypto. When the markets are hot, and this starts to rise, some of the small cap altcoins will blow up like you have never seen before. And this can happen while XRPs and Bitcoin and everything is going towards the upside as well. And what is so key right now is that this is bouncing and creating a signal that is very, very important because every time in the past, over the past few years, which date back all the way to 2017, that we've seen rips up in this, guess what? We see major altcoin season unfolding. And this is an incredibly important signal because it shows you that the bottom was in for the others, the small cap altcoins, just the other day. And while we're seeing kind of bigger coins picking up right now and showing some good moves, you still might be early enough to be able to get into some small cap altcoins. Now, if you want to be into small cap altcoins, make sure you subscribe to the House of Crypto. Next week, I will make a video on small cap altcoins I'm personally invested in that I think are going to see some significant upside. So don't miss out on that video. Also on my Twitter page, which is Peter_THOC, I've been talking about various small caps I'm holding, particularly down here in a post I made on the 23rd of April, where I talked about small cap AI agents that I've been involved in. Now, some of these have already gone up multiples since I talked about them over over here. So don't hang around. Go and check out that Twitter page and make sure that you're following so that you don't miss out on opportunities like this again. Obviously, go and do some research on these projects over there because some of them might get talked about next week in the video that I'm going to make on House of Crypto. Now, if we're confident that others' dominance is holding, we're going to see some good upside. It's pretty good for us small cap altcoins. It also shows the most important thing. Confidence is returning to the market. So you're probably thinking, well, yeah, probably a great time to ape into some trades. Well, first of all, let's have a look at the trades that we got into the other day. And if you want to understand why I got into some of these trades, then make sure you go and check out those videos afterwards. First things first, let's look at Apotos. I got into a trade on Apotos because it was in a very interesting area of time. Okay, you can see we had support area here. We don't want to get into trades into the middle zone between significant resistance and support because price tends to run to resistance and back to support, etc. As you can see, Apotos has been doing this. This is a weekly chart, mind, okay? And the higher the time frame, the more reliable these are. So this is a weekly chart. If Apotos wasn't able to break over the past few years below this area, it gave us a fantastic entry. As you can see, we are now in small profits on our Apotos trade, which you can see I opened at around 4.98 Apotos. Stop loss was underneath this zone. I still think this is a reasonable trade to enter into, but obviously if you enter into this, I still recommend keeping your stop loss probably under these wicks down here, which eats into your take profit zone a bit. What this gave us was an 8-to-1 risk to reward. It means that I can risk a $100, saying that if the price does come under here, then I'm going to lose $100 to make myself $800 of profit. Okay, this is a fantastic trade setup, and it still works reasonably well because if I move this up a little, we still have maybe our stop loss down here. We still have a 6-to-1 trade. Okay, we understand that maybe the price bounces around a little bit in this area, but we still have a decent trade there. If you want to go and trade this particular one, then I recommend that you use WEEX, which is linked down below in the description because they have a really decent sign-up bonus available right now for anyone who wants to go and trade. Also, you can use Bitunix. Both of these exchanges don't require KYCs, come with big bonuses as well. Use them down below. Anyway, enough waffling on. Let's look at Sooie, which obviously has worked out pretty nicely. I entered these two trades, which I showed you on a video the other day, on Sooie and Apotos around 10 days ago. Okay, these two trades, as you come across, have obviously performed well. Now, Sooie has massively outperformed the wider market. Why has it been doing that? Well, I've told you time and time again to pay attention to DeFi Llama, to look at the underlying volumes going through Sooie. Sooie is a team. They've been building huge amounts of new great utility top-level projects. They're building a gaming device. They're building out a whole ecosystem around crypto, which is designed to basically compete with the likes of Solana and Ethereum, and basically into the future become the bedrock of a whole host of different applications, whether that's in DeFi, AI, etc. And as you can see, during that MEXC event, we had again an opportunity to put in our stop loss under the MEXC and then enter into this trade. Now, in the early part of this trade, you can see that we did have a bit of a pullback and we were at a loss for about a week. This is why, one, it's important not to use money that you can't afford to lose. Because if I was down significant amounts at that point, I might have had a little panic to myself and thought, I need to get out of this trade. Okay, but I didn't. I had small amounts in and I had my stop loss nice healthy down here, which meant that we had enough wiggle room to move. And now we're reaping the rewards. Because right now we're about 2R into profit. Now this is R, which is risk. And each of these is like 1 risk, 2 risk, 3 risk, 4 risk. Okay, I think this was a 4-to-1 risk to reward trade, I believe. 4.3-to-1. Okay, so now we're about halfway through this. Now, if we were risking $100, we're now up $200. And the cool thing that we can do on this is bring our stop loss up to break even, which means we have now a risk-free trade. If you're looking to be a little bit more risk averse, then maybe you can bring your stop loss up to around here, which means worst case scenario, I take $100 out of this trade, whatever happens. Okay, maybe the market nukes tomorrow, we never know. Remember, never take a trade or anything based on the fact that you are guaranteed to see a result, because it doesn't work like that. Okay, we're working on a game of probabilities only. Sooie is running into a resistance area here. There is a chance that we see it kind of messing around in here. Now, this is not a good time to enter into a trade in Sooie. And I want to explain myself here compared with the Apotos trade, which is still far down. And it's because of this. If I wanted to open a trade right now on Sooie, let's say today, I don't really have an obvious place to put my stop loss. My stop loss can't really go under here because then my run to the upside resistance, which is the next point Sooie stops, isn't good at all. Because it means my risk is bigger than my reward. You never want to be involved in trades like this. I want to be able to win the majority of trades I take. And when I win big. And when I lose small. This is the best way to be. If I take a trade like that, it's going to suck. Okay. So what do I need to see from Sooie as an example? Should I want to get into Sooie? Well, I would like Sooie to return at some point to the next area of previous resistance. Remember, previous resistance becomes future support. That I deem to be this area. Previous support became resistance if the market was to dip, which I don't think it's going to, but if it was, Sooie comes down to this zone, and then maybe that's where I would enter into my long position. Okay, right now I don't want to enter into a short, I don't want to enter into a long, I just want to hold this position I'm holding because I think it's going to carry on going up. I don't know how fast it's going to get there, who knows, I don't care. This is not a coin I'm going to trade because there's so many other coins out there that are still lower down this point. Okay, very key. Have some discipline in this game. No need to FOMO. Stay out of it. Okay. Now, another trade I entered, Ethereum, has the same deal going on pretty much with Apotos. Why? Because it's still a very long push back up towards these highs, and it's still relatively close to these lows down here. And you can see it's reacting positively to a positive market. Ethereum will have a good bull market eventually. It's just going to be a slow starter. This is a trade I can take versus the Sooie trade, because if I put the price up here, I still get my 5-to-1 back towards all-time highs. Okay, perfect entry still, just not as perfect as we had the other day. And if you missed that, it's because you weren't subscribed, so make sure you are. Now, guys, where can we go next? Well, I'm looking to get into a number of trades, but as I've told you, and this has probably become clear, you don't necessarily want to get in after some big pushes towards the upside, because you're not going to get the best opportunity. Remember, if Bitcoin is rejected in this area, after all, who knows if it is, and it comes down, let's say 6%, the market's going to change all of a sudden from very bullish, which it is today, to suddenly like a bit panicky and a bit bearish, because the market still is in fear of maybe another pullback, like we've seen over the past few months. Every single time one of these rallies has failed. Lots of people still believe these rallies fail, which is why, if Bitcoin does pull back towards this zone, some of the altcoins might take a bigger hit than you're expecting, and we don't want to get wiped out. Okay, so we want to just be patient. We want to wait for Bitcoin to either pull back and give us an entry for alts, or break through this zone and pull back towards this area to give us an entry for alts. At some point, Bitcoin will put in a higher low. Okay, this is basically what charts move like. This is a low, this is a higher low, a higher low. Always buy and enter into trades at higher lows. Can't go too wrong. Okay, and this is going to give us the best chance of success. Now, there's other coins that I've been talking about yesterday that are looking more and more interesting, but they just don't give me the perfect setup for trades. And we don't really want to enter into trades that aren't giving us perfect setups, because there's no need. Okay, crypto's so full of opportunity. Most of the time the losses come because you're kind of forcing stuff to happen. Just be patient. Okay, go off outside, do something else. Here's WorldCoin. I really want to enter into a trade on a WorldCoin, or I wanted to buy WorldCoin on spot on yesterday's video, and I told you why on yesterday's video WorldCoin's worth paying attention to. It's because basically it's owned by Sam Altman, who is the owner of ChatGPT. He is in the process right now of building his own social network, partnering with ChatGPT. So it's kind of going to be like Twitter, but integrated with ChatGPT. And then on top of that, they're going to potentially integrate WorldCoin, which would be absolutely bananas, because this could be the everything app that serves like the world. Okay, there's an everything app right now in China called WeChat. This has an enormous revenue. If you get one of these that services the rest of the world, that integrates AI, etc., WorldCoin will probably be at the heart of it. And even if it isn't, the speculation alone around that is probably going to be enough to blow this thing up towards previous highs. Also, it's large enough as a coin, $1 billion market cap with really good volume for me to be interested in trading. Don't go day trading on coins that have low volumes, okay? Let's go to CoinMarketCap. Sorry, I get sidetracked, but as we go through these videos, you're going to realize you're kind of watching over my shoulder as we go. And I just remember things that are really important. On the left, you can see the coin, Bitcoin, and you can see the volume. $32 billion for Bitcoin is a lot of money. Solana, $4 billion, still a lot of money. Most of these coins up here are big enough for you to trade because they have decent volumes. If you go down the list and you start getting into smaller cap coins outside the top 100 and the volume's really small, it's going to make it very difficult for one, you to get in and out of trades. And also there's a potential that at any point, if there's a big sell-off or something, that you get a wick down, it completely liquidates you and then you just get kicked out the trade. So only trade kind of bigger market cap coins with large volumes, etc. if you're using leverage. Obviously, if you want to buy on spot, go and buy on spot small cap coins all day long if you want, with low volume, doesn't matter so much. But for day trading, always use big volume coins. Now, again, I'm waiting really for what I think is probably the most likely scenario. And I think that Bitcoin does break towards 100K, which is going to send WorldCoin and others pumping quite quickly. But we don't want to be involved in that trade yet, because if I'm wrong, it pulls back down here and I get liquidated, or I get close to my liquidation level. I want to wait for Bitcoin to break through, create that higher low. Where does the higher low come in? It comes in at previous resistance. If we break above previous resistance, it becomes support. So I will wait and I will get my entry here. Does that make sense? Hopefully this is going to be a complete game changer for you when it comes to day trading. And for WorldCoin, I still have fantastic upside potential, right? Because where would I target? This would be my long position once we've broken and come back to retest. And I can put my stop loss somewhere underneath this area here. Now, in terms of a rally back towards that high, then you're looking at a 7.5x on my risk to reward. But to back towards the all-time highs, which came in March of 2024, and there's a reason that this was such a big rally compared to this one. This one ran for about 22 weeks, and this one ran for about 14 weeks of Bitcoin upside, which meant that this took a little while to warm up. But look at the kind of the move that happened in the last kind of like couple of weeks. It was basically the entire move. If we get another move, which is going to run for more than 22 weeks or beyond, which we will because Bitcoin is pumping like crazy and M2 is pumping towards the upside, then these kind of runs, you're going to get left for dead and you're going to be surging like this. Okay, but you have a decent chance here, at least a 7x, to get into your trade here. Above here, then you can get into much bigger profits. Now, in terms of stop losses, etc., I know people have been waiting to find out more about how to set this. Typically, right now, if you are newer to trading, which I assume most of you are, okay, then go and experience a little bit with a futures contract. Watch my video on Bitunix where I talked about how to do this. But what you want to do is go across and maybe put in, let's say, $50 into your futures account. I say $50 if you've got like $2,000 in crypto. Don't put much more money in because typically people lose money when they start to trade. Okay, your aim is to put in a small amount of money and experience how it works. Okay. Then, once you start to become a little bit more confident in it, you should then start to think about how much you're prepared to risk in day trading versus spot account. Spot is where you just basically hold it, which is where I keep majority of my crypto. Around 90 to 95% of my money is in spot. Okay, 5%, 10% is in the futures market because obviously there's good opportunities to see some good returns, but there's obviously higher risk. Okay, so what I would then do is I had 10% of my account in futures. Then for every given trade, I'm not going to risk more than 5%. So think about how much money you've got now in your futures account. Let's say it's $1,000, just to make it easy for my maths. Whatever you can afford to lose, remember? So let's think about that. If I was going to risk $50 down here, okay, to make what was 7x, 7 times 50 means I can make $350 for risking $50. Hopefully that makes sense and why I'm using leverage now rather than just using spot. Now, position size, the position size that you enter in, is the risk amount divided by the stop loss percentage. Okay, so right now, WorldCoin is $0.97. Okay, so 97 cents. Stop loss is around 46%, which is quite big in terms of the entry right now because it's around 46% of that coin going down. But remember, we have a lot of upside potential and this is a swing trade. Now risk is $50. So what we do is we take the position size, which is 50, and we divide it by 46, which equals 50 divided by 0.46. And that will give us $108.7. So in this example, my $108.7 divided by 1,000, which is the total amount of the account, gives me 0.11x leverage. And why is the leverage so small? Because my risk in terms of percentage of the coin is massive. Okay, if this was a smaller amount, like let's say I was risking down to having my stop loss like here, then my leverage will be really small, okay? But this means that if it gets all the way down to here, I'm gonna lose $50. And if that's a little bit confusing, just watch it again, okay? Work out that equation and just keep looking into that equation and understand how that works and apply different coins to it. Don't have to enter into trades, just go and apply this a few times and practice exactly what it's telling you, okay? Don't mess around with the rule. If you make the rule of, I'm gonna risk 5% of a trade on this, then that's what we're going to do, okay? Smaller stop losses, you use bigger leverage because you can afford to risk more because the move down is not going to be so big, okay? And then obviously that's going to allow you to enter into trades. The beauty of this with your $1,000 account is you can risk $50 20 times. So you can make 20 trades to make a 7 risk to reward or an 8 risk to reward or a 12 risk to reward, which means in the future, if you kind of start to win some of these trades, you have a shot of turning a $1,000 account into a $10,000 account. But you do this slowly. You don't try and do it in one trade. That's where people blow up. In future videos, we'll look into this in more detail, okay, and make it very, very specific on how to calculate risk, reward, and all that stuff, okay? But that's just a taster. Hopefully it's been useful for you. Now, as I've said, in general, I think the markets are looking good. Bitcoin still sort of stalling around this area. If it has a pullback, good, I get my entry. But otherwise, I'm still happy to just chill. In terms of buying into coins on spot right now and other places, you still have a decent entry. Okay, we're still kind of fairly early in the market. But if I was to tell you which altcoins to go after, I kind of, one, I talk about it a lot on my other channel, but two, I would tell you to be a bit cautious of going into some of the coins that have been pumping like crazy, okay, because they tend to run earlier. We saw this happen before. Look, Sooie had really good runs in like November. Then it chilled out for ages, and during this time, XRP and other coins went up. Okay, so Sooie will run to a point where it will start to chill out for a while, and then other coins are going to go up. So for now, probably I would say to avoid it. Okay, it's going to go up a lot. I still hold it, but I would start to look at maybe some of the smaller cap coins if you haven't got into them already. Go across to CoinMarketCap. You can go and have a look at some of these different narratives here. Or if you want to get into some of the larger caps, then you can go and look across some of these. Okay, go and look at some of the ones like down through the list. So, for example, Bitunix up 42% in the last 7 days. Probably worth avoiding it. But if you come down the list a little bit, ICP, Render, lagging behind a little bit more. Okay, I wanted to make this video shorter, but we got carried away. But hopefully, it's still been very, very useful for you. If you enjoyed it and found it valuable, please let me know down below exactly what you want me to talk about in future videos. If you haven't already, please smash that like button. Now, I appreciate crypto is overwhelming and a difficult space to be. If you really want to up your game in these crypto markets, then I recommend joining the Moon House, which is the VIP tier membership of the House of Crypto. Now, basically, this group is designed to take away all of the noise across crypto, where myself and a handful of other experts filter down all the most useful and important information. In this group, each and every week, we have a Zoom call where you can watch over my shoulder in tutorials, kind of like what we've just done, but in much more detail, talking about different altcoins I'm taking, watching me take trades, all those different things. We talk about the different altcoins and things that we've been getting into. Just the other day, we were getting into Beam, Ondo, Pendle, Peak, and these have seen some significant pumps since those calls. Also, you can come and ask questions. And not only are there a host of full-time experts working on this group, including myself, but also a lot of the people in this group over the past few months have become incredibly educated within the crypto space, and they're sharing some really valuable knowledge. So make sure if you're interested in upping your game in crypto, then you join the Moon House. Now guys, thanks for watching. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you very soon in another video. Bye-bye.